I slowly think, you know, like a rocket with tail fins.
What we got, sir?
Oh, you mean a rocket launcher?
That's it.
All we have is in there.
22,
Oh, I thought you were anything else.
18, 16.
Yeah, okay, trainers. Oh, yeah. Trainers, so it got straight like that.
Is that the lot?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
6 then.
Yeah.
They only had Ferraris.
I've already got a Ferrari.
So now you got two. I'll be 20 minutes, maximum.
Yeah, but they need the car. People only do that.
You'll give him the push.
Thought we'd have a press call now so you can get all you need. Don't want you lot complaining about lack of cooperation, do we? We have a double death, a girl and boy in their teens, carbon monoxide poisoning. No suspicious circumstances, and we're not looking for any third person. Vehicle was found at approximately 7:15 this morning on Somerton Hill. Found the car, subsequently myself attended, together with our MO, ambulance, etc. All windows sealed, car doors locked from inside, no sign of life evident. They were found naked in a sleeping bag in the rear seat.
Any idea who they are?
I'm getting there. Deceased were identified by relatives as Francis Kirsten Walters, 12A Northley Estate, and Jonathan Stephen Mallet, Hilltop Princes Drive. Time of inquest to be confirmed.
Exact ages?
She was 19, he was a year younger.
Parents up to questions?
24 hours might be tactful.
Background on the kids?
Relatives mentioned some history of depression with the boy. Car belonged to his father.
What's the theory? Some kind of love pact?
Sounds about right.
Any suicide notes? In the car? At home?
No.
And they were found at 7:15 this morning.
Correct.
By?
Local man. Dialed the 3 9s from a call box.
Name?
Asked us to withhold it. That it?
Why the delay?
What delay is that, Mr. Blakeston?
Chronicle does 2 police checks on a Sunday. We got nothing.
Just trying to show a bit of compassion for the relatives. I know we can count on you to do the same. Anything new comes up, we'll get back to you.
Frank! One question and I'm gone. A couple of things I need.
Like what?
A name.
You already got the names.
The guy who found him, Frank.
Some jugger, all I know. I wasn't at the scene.
Must be on file for the inquest.
When it will be released officially.
Now the car. Was it near the top of the
Like I
hill?
say, I wasn't there.
What does the report say?
It doesn't.
come you in at the scene? Double death, you should have been straight in.
Maybe they thought I deserved a lie-in. I go
One
this
more
way.
name. Who was driving the Panda car?
PC Bentley.
They have been identified as Francis Walters, of Northley Estate, and Jonathan Mallet, 2 L's for Leonard, 2 T's for Tommy, of Prince's Drive. Stop. They were found slumped in a sleeping bag in the back seat of the car. Stop. The police say they are not looking for a third person. Ends for now. I'm going for more on the kids. Did you ever speak to Frankie?
Seen her in the street. My husband left us some tools once. Father's something in the town hall. Mother, well, she did a bunk years ago.
She was all right. Bit bolshy. Never really knew her.
Eldest sister had a kid, illegitimate. Some married man, I think.
Nice family. Quiet. No problems. No aggravation.
What have you got? Not a lot. Cheers.
Blakeston Evening Chronicle, just checking a few facts the police gave us. Your sister, wasn't it? A few details, what I planned. Mrs. Mallet. Blakeston, Evening Chronicle. Sorry to butt in. Checking the facts the police gave us about your son.
I imagine you want to know why he did it. I suppose you think that I can tell you. I can't.
And as far as domestic work is concerned, unemployment came easily top to 65%.
Actually, he was going to Cambridge this autumn. He's going up to Trinity Hall to read law. And then he's going on to take his bar examinations after that.
Complicated thing.
What?
Suicide.
Do you have children?
A son. My wife has custody.
Ask your questions.
The girl, Frances. You know her well?
I met her.
What was she like?
He used to sit at home for days, waiting for her to call. For weeks, sometimes.
Oh, they weren't that close?
Physically?
Emotionally?
I didn't think so, no.
What did you make of her? Did you approve of her?
Romeo and Juliet. Star-crossed lovers. Is that the sort of crap you write? My husband always took a tolerant approach. Dr. Spock. And all that. And he brought our son up to make his own mistakes and learn from them. Some people regard suicide as courageous. Do you?
Depends.
What on?
The motive.
He wanted to punish us. That was his room. Keep it.
My kid. Police said something about depression, Mrs. Mallet. Anything clinical? Anything he was treated for?
Just moods.
And when did you last see him?
There. Saturday afternoon. Writing.
Writing what?
What's his name, your son?
Adam. Writing what, Mrs. Mallet? Was it a letter?
I read a story once about a woman who disappeared from her house in Hampshire. And the police found this note in the empty house, and it just said, why suicide? Why not? You go now.
I know it's an intrusion, but something's come up. I think there was a letter. Just a few words with you or your father.
Piss off, will you? Piss off!
Go on, up to your room a minute, Adam. See that? Think most kids his age obey just like that without a word?
So we got off the light. I'll call you, okay?
Alan, I want you to take him. It's his half term this week. You're on the road most of the time. We agreed any problems you'd help.
What problem?
Doesn't talk, does he?
He's that kind of kid.
What kind of a kid is it? Never opens his mouth. Never answers back. He hasn't got a friend, an interest, nothing.
Have you talked to anyone about it?
I'm talking to his father about
The
it.
school.
He hates school. He knows I have to remind you to see him every time. When you bother to show, that is. I'm not giving you a choice in this because I'm not going to be here. I'm going to London job hunting. And you're going to go up those stairs and tell him that you've asked me if you can have him for the week, that I fought you and you won. Because you want him.
Patty, I've just started on a mate. It could be a runner, you know?
I hate the way you do that.
What?
Say you know all the time.
I didn't know, no.
Either you go up those stairs or I go to the law and you lose access altogether. I mean it.
Okay, okay.
Who knows? Spend a bit of time with him, you might even get to like him.
Yeah. Oi. What's all this about you having no friends? Don't you want friends? Must be someone at school you like.
They're all Wallies. Dad? Why do people kill themselves?
Because they're unhappy.
Would you ever do it?
Nah.
Why not?
Nothing's worth dying for, is it?
Libyan torture returns.
Keep it light, keep it light.
Sport. Analysis of Saturday's matches. The quiz? Still waiting on graphics. What you got?
We have a hook.
Couple. Magnum champagne.
Put it on the slip page. If it sinks, we can bury it. Local.
Election mostly, Harper versus Jaston. Profile on Mrs. Jaston, what he eats, home living, all that sort of thing. The ecology candidate's just been named. There must be something there.
It looks like the ecology candidate.
Traffic load up in town. This one's
it's not the ecology candidate.
It's a caravan this time, it appears. And then we lead on the double suicide again.
Did he work?
25.
Wonderful. I've got something else.
I could probably go and interview the mistress and old
No sugar.
Just a minute.
Hank. The boy was seen writing a letter just before he died.
Yeah.
Police say there were no letters.
Which adds up to what?
Well, it doesn't, does it? Not if it's a straightforward suicide.
Could find out if there was screwing in the back of the car, where they're met, that sort of thing. A few whys and wherefores, all right? Yes? I see, 2:30. Fine. Anything else? Okay. I'll send somebody over. Anyone free? Press call, STPHQ, don't all rush. Name?
Walters, do you know if she's tried anything like this before? Do you know? Have they planned or talked about it? How long have they been running away together? Tell us how long they've been lovers. Do you know she was pregnant, Miss Walters? Do you know you're going to hint that she's planning like Lassie, huh?
Why are we following her?
It's a game.
Do you follow me?
I had trouble parking.
You know what I think of the shit you people like?
I can guess. Lost your appetite? I can't be responsible for the vagaries of the national press, Miss Walters.
You just sound like some cheap little tramp who died with her legs open. My father has to live with that.
Maybe she was a tramp. Unless someone tells us differently, we'll never know, will we?
I'm supposed to buy that.
Right now, everyone's after this story, panting for it. People are curious. They want answers. But when the inquest records it's a suicide verdict on Francis, and it will be suicide, the police are obviously going to see to that. That'll be it. End of case, end of story. And the press, Miss Walters, your purveyors of shit, will have moved on. And with them, any chance of getting those answers.
Blakeston? I want the others called off. No more harassing my father. Leave him alone. Go on, then.
Friday night, where was she?
Babysitting.
Where? What time did she get back?
She didn't, not that night.
Was she with the boy? Okay, what about Saturday?
Mid-afternoon, she breezed in, shut herself in her room. About 9, Jonathan picked her up. You know the rest.
What was she doing in her room? The boy was seen in his room that afternoon, too. Writing a letter.
If they wrote letters, where are they?
Let's get to Sunday.
Police came to tell us about her. Took Dad off.
Why?
I didn't go with them.
Didn't you ask him?
How the Christ should I know? To identify the body.
You want to leave this, or what?
It was in one of her pockets. That's what you want, isn't it? Names, addresses.
At the college, what was she studying?
English and politics.
Was she into all that? Politics?
You know how kids get?
No?
Whipped up!
How politically active was she?
She talked a lot about it, like most people.
What about the boy?
She thought he was a joke.
Did you?
He was a kid.
So it wouldn't have been his idea then? The pact. Did you like her?
Yes.
What about your father? Did you like him?
Yes.
How about you? Do you get on with him?
Yes.
So he never tried to stop her seeing the boy?
Never stopped her doing anything. He couldn't. Even as a kid. She used to stamp her foot and say, I'll kill myself, then you'd be sorry. Turn a phrase, Mr. Blakeston. Time's up.
Who gave the
Anyone
party?
else at school I could talk to?
Was she a close friend of Francis?
Form teacher.
Spell that, please. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
2 L's for Leonard. Very kind of you. Dave. Yeah, thanks.
Richard Jason.
Is that Richard Jason MP?
Yes.
Yes, we had some media people around at my surgery the other day. TV, fly on the wall stuff, you know. Crew outnumbered us 4 to 1. When we do it, it's a very different matter, I can tell you. All this bollocks about my party political tonight, I don't know. So we hired an advertising agency. We staged a few scenes. The public aren't idiots. They can tell the difference between policy making and image making, even if the press can't. Yes. Frances used to babysit. She was here, as a matter of fact, that Friday night. We'd gone out for drinks, constituency business. We were back about 9 o'clock, and then she went. Seemed like a bright kid. God knows why they do these things. You know what this election's about, Mr. Blakeston? It's about political continuity. Parties full of tired men, exhausted themselves gaining power, but we can utilize that power. We can re-energize it, revitalize it. ICE! You know, trades union and local government are in check. Law and order things in hand, privatization. All the groundwork's done. It's a very exciting prospect. You met the wife, haven't you? We've got some folk coming round tonight to see how I perform. Are you a meat eater, Mr. Blakeston? I'm very pleased I was able to help.
No later than 11, eh? Very good, sir. Thank you.
It also held down interest rates, which means small businesses. How to stop the resin actually spooling and cracking in the very high day temperature.
It's an obsession with you, isn't it? Not being able to get a job.
How'd you fancy staying with your grandmother for a few days? I could give her a ring now, fix it. I'll give you some pocket money.
Just as audacious to win that war as well.
Now to the faces of the future, which will carry out the pledges of the present, because the pledges we make to the youth of the nation will be kept by the youth of the party. Your vote is that pledge.
Dad? What are we waiting for?
A man.
I made up a poem yesterday.
Yeah?
Oh dear me, a mouse caught a flea, did a paw on it, and then a wee.
Wonderful. I'll be back.
I'm starting to think you lot never get round to me.
They said no contact.
Where the car was.
How'd you get to it?
Gates work.
It's important, Mr. Lomax, that I don't put words into your mouth. You'll be asked about that, okay? When you found them, what do you see?
You know what I see.
Apart from the kids, anything else? I'm going on the line with you. I think there may have been some letters in the car. In the front seat, maybe.
Must keep up the pace here. Call the wall. Pain barrier, gotta get through it. On the dash, not the seat.
The letter.
The letters.
How many?
2.
See any names? Who they were addressed to?
Parents.
Is the car still locked?
Yes. I was there when the police got into it. This plainclothes officer put the letters into a plastic bag.
He also saw 2 letters, on the dash of the car stop. The letters were addressed to the parent stop. Police deny any letters were found, stop. The present whereabouts of the letters is still not known, stop. Ends.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Alan.
Look, where the hell are you?
High Street. Off to see Bentley.
Who the hell is Bentley?
First police officer at the scene.
Look, it's bloody bedlam here. I've nobody to cover the magistrates.
You leave a forwarding address? PC Bentley. Where can I find who's in charge here?
A warden is always on hand to see to the needs of the residents, or so it says in the brochure. If you believe the bullshit you read in the brochures. He left a 2-line note and sod all else. Except for this. Bulgarian.
No, thanks.
Do you know anything about tropical fish?
Not a lot, no.
He had names for all of them. Used to sit for hours staring at the bloody things.
What did his note say?
That he'd been transferred to another division, would I look after his guppy. Here, guppy, 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 guppy. He was talking about the press the other day.
Oh?
Didn't commit it to memory, sorry. I'd have known you were coming.
Was he expecting it? The transfer?
Not that he said. Which doesn't mean much. Most people here are just passing through.
If he gets in touch.
Well, perhaps we could start with security measures. Yes. I see. Yeah, well, I have been trying.
Allan, Allan! Magistrate's court, you can still make it, yeah?
Dave, cover the magistrate call for me, will you?
Chemist's late night rota needs updating. Look, we have an election in 8 days' time. We're up to our necks, and you're still pissing about over a couple of hysterical kids.
I can take it as official then. You don't want the story. I'll get onto a national. No breach of contract. Fine.
Antacid, you wouldn't like them. Great technique.
Wait in the car. Adam.
Okay.
You saw my copy.
Aside from the letters.
Those letters are the biggest bloody story this place has ever seen.
When you know what's in them and where the hell they are, maybe.
Only one police department has the power to suppress those notes and silence anyone who saw them. Special branch. Why and who they're protecting is the story.
If and when you can verify it.
And if you're not too bloody provincial to go on it.
And I suppose Fleet Street will.
Couple of calls will know.
One witness. That's all you've got. Do you think their legal guys are going to buy that?
I think they got the balls to have a crack at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to know why we passed on it.
They won't give a shit.
Just wait. You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Couple of kids go for a Saturday night bunk up in the back of a car, then kill themselves. No one asks why, which makes me ask why. What about you, Hank?
Go on, get out of here.
You told me to wait.
I changed my mind.
There's bricks and stuff. Lego. 1 hour, okay?
Sign. Any members of the press want access to Ministry of Defense property, we try and accommodate them.
Can I ask who I'm dealing with?
Mercer, Detective Inspector, Special Branch. It's just a reminder. What you see is subject to the Official Secrets Act.
So what is it, the bunker? A regional seat of government, nuclear citadel, what?
The designation of bunkers is well documented by most of the peace movements.
Not if they're militarily sensitive.
What's your interest? The MOD has to be careful about local opinion on these things.
Anytime? Or just during an election?
Civil defense has always been an emotive issue. The press have seen to that.
The Official Secrets Act does its bit.
1976, that quarry was converted. It took nearly a year, involving over 100 men. No one paid it any attention then or since.
They might, if they knew why 2 kids chose to die there. Without any suicide notes, who's to know?
Police deny Freemasonry link. That was yours, wasn't it? When was that? 82, 83? Unsubstantiated. Is that why you left Fleet Street and came out here? Or is the route to promotion more circuitous than I thought?
Has its moments.
You're free to go.
Story's been spiked. It's not our job to direct traffic, solve murders, or chase after missing suicide.
For Christ's sake.
Story is dead. Finished. This is no bloody insider. It's dead now. Forget it.
Who leaned on him? Superintendent? Special branch, who was it? They've got those letters!
Bloody what? Okay, so you get your story. Maybe even get your ticket back to Fleet Street. What do we get? We get nothing. No police cooperation, no crime stories for our front pages, no muggers, no break-ins. Okay, boring to you. But it's what makes the punters shell out to see what's happening in our little town tonight.
What does it say on your passport these days, Hank?
Reporter, same as you.
News desk, please.
Trying to connect you. Can I have your name, please, sir?
Blakeston.
Nobody's going to pick it up, Alan. He's recanted. Your eagle-eyed jogger. He phoned in. Said he'd been mistaken about the letters.
Lomax! Can you hear me, Lomax? If it's protection you want, I'll get you a lawyer. Who got to you? Lomax! 5 minutes. That's a promise. You have rights in this. She wrote that letter to you. If we can convince the coroner of that, he'll adjourn... If we can convince the coroner of that, he'll adjourn the inquest until the letters are produced. If he won't, we can demand an inquiry. Public opinion counts on these things. We just have to orchestrate it.
Does it matter?
You're asking me that?
He wants an inquiry.
I can speak to the boy's parents. Local radio. Set it all up.
Get out.
We can do it! Is he around?
Who?
Harper.
Press conference this afternoon.
Just point me to it.
Out the back.
Adam, wait there.
You won't need that. I was wondering if some hack could make the connection. What kept you? She volunteered her services. Just a sniff of an election and they come out the woodwork. Students.
Doing what?
Odds and sods. So how do you rate my chances against Jason? At a guess?
Slim.
0. This is Tory Harlow.
Why bother?
Media coverage, Jason is a rising star.
You acquit yourself well, you get a safe by-election later.
Yeah.
Girl know that.
Doubt if she had the political insight. Few of them do. Not local, are you? 25 years I've lived and worked in this town. Most of those in local government. Half a lifetime spent in committees. Another 4 years trying to get my candidature ratified for a seat no one else would touch. What have you been doing? I read one word of this, I drag in the shit with me.
Then what use is it?
What do you want to make of it? Well, this is it. I hardly knew the kid. Not to give a name to her. Last Friday night, she and the boy came to see me with some documents. MOD, classified.
I need more than that.
I dictate the terms.
Enjoy your meeting, Mr. Harper.
All right. One question.
Civil defense, any link?
Old hat. Bigger.
How big?
Big enough to bring down the government if it got out. She'd box me into a corner. If it did get out, we'd all be implicated in theft or worse. The real truth would have been fudged. You people would have seen to that. If I did nothing, the kids would have done something crazy which would have implicated us all anyway.
Sorry, 2 minutes.
Full house? Wankers.
What did you do with them? The documents?
The only thing I could do. I got them back to Jason. Thank you. Thank you for turning up. And it's good to see some young people here, because it's for you, about you, and with you that we're going to fight this election and win. To quote Bevan's words in another election struggle, we will fight them in the constituencies, inside the trade unions, and we will get the youth. And so it's to the youth that I speak today. Two kids took their lives in this town this weekend. Why? How many other despairing, disillusioned youngsters are there in this country? And who's culpable? Our schools and colleges are closing. Who's culpable? Our hospitals are closing. Who's culpable? Our old folks are going without food and warmth. I ask you, I think we have a Tory mic here. I ask you again, who is culpable? Who has decimated social security benefits to a degree which puts the average family on the poverty level? The Conservatives. Why? Because their health is monetary policies. Nothing else counts. Human issues don't count. Human beings don't count. People don't count. I think we have a communications problem here.
Set well in advance. What are we to do? To withdraw from the programme, I mean, particularly the weapons development programme, would be almost as costly as it would be to cancel it.
Considerable concern, is there not, here in the House of Commons about the escalation of the defence budget? Just how many millions are we now talking about?
Closing the old dockyards is not going to be a problem. It's the budget over. Well, we'll discuss this later, gentlemen. Excuse me for just a moment. You've come a long way.
Friday night, after you got home, what happened with the girl?
You know what we used to do to traitors in this country, Mr. Blakeston? And now, they subvert the loyalty of others, they betray the Official Secrets Act, and they get canonized in newsprint. They're a cancer, Mr. Blakeston.
The girl didn't sign the Official Secrets Act.
Oh, the documents. You want to know what happened that night? After I got home, the girl had gone and served the documents. Presumably it was a political gesture. And she'd screwed her boyfriend in our bed as a political gesture. Sheets were a hell of a mess. Anyway, we got the documents back, as you know. And I told her and her boyfriend that they were finished. You know what that means. But they didn't, so I told them. No university place for him. No job for her. No future. At all. I think I made an impression.
Is that why they killed themselves?
Well, I rather think that was a political gesture too, don't you? Good night, Mr. Blakeston.
Alan? Dave. Messages. That industrial tribunal story's blown up again. Hang on, what's your background on it? Harper rang twice, and someone called Laura keeps ringing. Wouldn't give her last name. Says to call her urgently. She's on 01 435 6005.
Laura.
If they're here, you won't see them. I have access to the documents. 2 years ago, we opened a secret new establishment in Cumbria.
Who's we?
The Ministry of Defence, where I work. Didn't he tell you? Harper, he put me on to you. The Cabinet doesn't know about it, certainly not Parliament.
But Jason does.
Oh, yes. It has one objective. The development and stockpiling of a new generation of chemical weapons and nerve gases for first strike capacity. It breaks every existing international agreement. The Official Secrets Act is being used to shield it.
And the documents prove it.
Yes. I made my objections about what's happening known within the department. They suggested I see a psychiatrist, take some leave. Then some colleagues of mine approached me, 2 clerks like myself and a senior civil servant. You want to leak the documents to the press. They can't discredit all of us. But it has to be now. After the election's too late. The address of a safe house. I'll bring the photocopies tonight. I can do it. It's just anger, that's all.
Come on.
Yeah?
Can I speak to my wife, please? He's all yours.
tell us no. The other item there. Thank you very much indeed. That's excellent. You avoided the danger price. You have won the 3 items, and you've won a chat with Denise, who is a very intelligent lady. There we are. Thank you very much indeed. Great. Thank you, Sandy. Stephen Brown.
Laura?
Novelty fruit machine. This mini one-arm bandit is great fun for all the family. And it lights up when giving rewards, just like the real thing.
Stephen, what is your bid on the fruit machine? 80 pounds, says Stephen. 69 pounds, says Sue. 82, says Ronald. Jane.
85.
85 pounds, says James. The actual price we're looking for is 79 pounds, and you're on.
You'll never get anyone to buy it.
It's a possibility.
Suicide? Crap!
Her psychiatrist has a different view.
Crap! She did not commit suicide.
I'm inclined to agree.
The DPP will want a bit more than that.
What were you doing in the flat? Why did you go to the flat?
I want a solicitor. Where's the date? Social.
Why not go to her own flat?
Wasn't that her flat?
How'd she get onto you? Local hack. Must have come recommended. They're using you. Who was it? A friend? A colleague?
She was a pickup. Didn't even know her name.
She knew yours. She was a junior clerk, minimal security status, not important.
No. She wasn't alone. Sooner or later they'll get heard. People will demand they get heard.
Who are they?
If they're here, you won't see them. I have access to the documents.
It's a beautiful day out there.
2 years ago, we opened a secret new establishment in the country. Ministry of Defense, where I work.
Jeremy, hang on a second. Will you let Mr. Harper answer the question, please?
Now, if you're having any trouble getting political and public support for your cause, I suggest that it isn't because of any callousness about the plight of animals, but because of the increasing guerrilla tactics of the animal rights movement. It's this that is alienating.
Well, Jeremy, I think you've had a very fair crack at the whip. Thank you very much for your question. Let's go over to the Somerville estate now. Pat is on the line. Pat, would you like to put your question to Peter Harper, please?
Yes.
allow council tenants to buy their own homes.
Well, the position of the Labour Party is quite clear on this, Pat. All those council homes which have already been purchased by their tenants will continue to be privately owned. Similarly, all those which are in the process of being purchased when we come to power, provided they've reached an advanced stage, will be allowed to proceed. Our concern is not to deprive people of the right to own their own house, but to provide houses for those who cannot afford to buy them.
But does that mean, Mr. Harper, that people will be able to buy council homes?
We intend to rescind the Conservative Party policy on this particular issue, to halt the drift of state-provided homes going to the private sector.
So they will be able to buy council houses?
Well, yes, indeed, and to reduce the hugely swollen council house waiting list, so that thousands, and I do mean thousands of families, Pat, can have a roof over their heads.
Well, Pat, thank you very much indeed. That's really the end of our time. Thank you very much indeed for Peter Harper for joining us on this programme today. Tomorrow it's the chance of the SDP, and Rona Fowles will be joining me here to answer more of your questions. Why not join us then?
Harper? Harper! We need to talk! Harper! She's dead. Laura. She was getting me a copy of the documents they've killed her.
Get this nut away from me.
You're a bastard, Harper! You're not walking away from this! You use me! You bastard, Harper!
In a few days, the nation goes to the polls. Many of you will have already decided how you will cast your votes. Others may still be confused, but perhaps no longer after you have watched Election Countdown. Once again, we will have a team of distinguished politicians facing the public in a no-holds-barred question and answer session.
Live from London, my guests will include Tory high flyer Richard Jaston MP, facing your questions.
For the answers, watch Election Countdown after the news tomorrow evening.
This place open Saturdays?
Who wants to know?
Yes or no? Saturday.
I'm usually around, yeah.
These two coming? She was a student here.
I know.
Were they in?
They were, yeah.
See what they wanted copied?
They did it themselves.
See how many copies?
No. Tell you what I did see, though. The load of horseshit you lackeys wrote about them. Want to discuss that?
Not just now. Anyone else been in? Asking for them?
How many were you expecting?
block of council flats, really. Residents have been complaining for years about the lack of facilities.
Explaining.
Shareholders, profit margins. There's no front line anymore, Alan. Just advertising space and bingo. Everything else is an anachronism.
She sent copies of the documents to the press, didn't she?
Yes. Out.
What did you do with them?
Returned them to the proper authorities. The Weekly took the same view. The radio station has a franchise to renegotiate. Now get out.
Who's in charge here?
Yes.
Where do you want this?
It's a bit knackered. We can't put all those at the back. Some have to come to the front, remember? Oh, yeah. Let's go to the playground. Just go.
Press.
You can do a story on this. They can harass us, arrest us, do what they want. Pretty soon they'll run out of options, and then what? Fiction. Fire regulations. 5 years squatting in this rat-infested dump, and suddenly they will get het up over fire doors. Well, they can do it, I know. My son is a magistrate, knows all about the law, tells me enough about it. I've got grandchildren. I put them first.
How he does this by reducing public spending by dismantling possible bureaucratic
Noah?
Yes. How did you find us?
Her address book. Did she give you something? Some papers, maybe, to look after? I'll post them to you. They could be important.
They open all our mail. She couldn't wait. The bunker. All set up. The biggest demo this town has ever seen. Thousands of women from all over. Can you imagine the organization of something like that? Blown because she couldn't wait. She kept on and on about having access to it. We outvoted her.
What kind of access?
We thought she was just another hot-headed kid from off the street. Anyway, she's dead.
Yes! He's here. How do I know? I'll bring him back, yes. Tonight, yeah! What a stupid bloody thing to do. What do you do? Nick the money? For the train? Who from?
Mommy's friend.
This is not your home. It isn't anyone's home. key, didn't you? Isn't that what she meant by access? What made her do it, Walters? Anger? Because as a civil defense officer, you'd qualify for a place in the bunker and the rest of us wouldn't. Isn't that how these things work? I wonder how that feels. She sent you a copy of the documents so you'd know the kind of people you were dealing with and get angry too. Did it make you angry, Walters?
Everything I said, she had contempt for. Try wondering how that feels.
You can't, Father. He's a reporter.
Why? Always the same question. She never grew out of it. So, a few months ago, I took her up there to the bunker to show her, explain it. She wasn't angry. She smiled. There was a time I knew exactly what she was thinking.
Give them to him. It's what you both want. Get them! He wanted to destroy them. I said no, if it got out he'd be finished. I told him there's protection. Do you know he listened? Didn't you? You hear me now, don't you, Father? He wasn't angry either, not with her. Blamed himself. What for, Father? The music lessons, the walking holidays every summer, the hours spent on our homework. He was the perfect father. And I got to play Mummy, didn't I?
All right, Judith. That's enough. Give them to me.
They used to do this, round and round, and I'd watch like you. She smashed a mirror once, broke it in a row, he went straight out and bought another. She never paid for anything she damaged.
Give them to him.
Frankie wants to be in the papers. Frankie wants to be in the papers. Leave him! You want to help him use the phone.
And the lady in the green berry, could you fill up the gap? Thank you so much. Mr. Reeves, could you move into the middle here? Thank you. Could you close the gap up for me? Thank you very much indeed. It'll be easier to find you all that way. Anyone? Hush, 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 please, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, can we do it like that next time? I'd like to introduce you to our chairman, Mr. Lou Gardner. Round of applause for Lou.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Jason, this way, please. Oh, Mr. Parks, could you please sit here? Yes, please. Mr. Jason.
We've had a bit of a left-wing takeover. Just as good.
Nine, 8, 7, 6,
Don't wait to be spoken
5,
to. Speak up,
4.
speak clearly. Hello, good evening and welcome to another edition of Election Countdown. Once again, we have a distinguished panel to face the music and the questions from you, the public. First, my lady guest, Mrs. Marjorie Byng, Alliance candidate. This is Mrs. Byng's first election, but not, she says, her last. Now that her family have grown up, she intends a lifelong commitment to politics. Mr. Richard Jayston, Conservative Member of Parliament, presently attached to the Ministry of Defence, where it is said he has already made his presence felt. Mr. Jayston is said to embody the new radical right within the Conservative Party.
Tickets, please. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Reeves, municipal workers?
Yes, local municipal workers, dustmen and so on.
Thank you. Mr. Jaston, one for you, I think. Should dustmen be banned from striking?
But to purge the deprived social conditions that drive people into turning to drugs in the first place.
Thank you, Mr. Beaton. One for you, I think, Mr. Parks. You must be opposed to the opium of the people in every respect.
Well, some people, cynical people, have suggested that the government are using their high-profile drugs campaign as a diversion from the real issue which faces this country.
It's the right to work without harassment from trades unions or from your fellow workers. It's the right to choose the kind of health care and education you want for your children, the right to buy your own home, whether it's a council home or any other, and the right, above all, to...
I took some Americans to see the Mousetrap, you know, at the theatre the other night, and Joe Smith and his wife got out of the cab, and she said to him, she said, remember what the coach tour operator said here? Don't forget to tip the cab driver, otherwise he'll tell us who did it. Now, they love the Americans. They're the best of the bunch. Terrific. They really are. There's no class barrier. They're friendly. And they'll say, you know, whatever they...
And that's why we in the Alliance emphasise that trade unionists, employers and police must all work together as a team, so that no one faction feels alienated or oppressed.
I'd just like to stop you there for a moment, Mrs. Byng. I wonder whether Mr. Reeves is less frustrated having listened to you.
No, I am not.
Mr. Jason MP, interview after the show.
Is he expecting him? Oh, hang on.
Thank you, Mrs. Byng. I must trample on your rights there. Time has caught up with us once again. However, we have time for one last question. From you, I think, Mrs. Fiona Brewerton.
What was your name again, sir?
Basingstoke, if I've got it right.
Cab down with studio, please. Press interview with Jason.
Is the Labour Party unilateralist with multilateralist tendencies, or vice versa? Well, seriously. No, seriously, I'd like to know, wouldn't you? Shift our ground, you see, to please the press or the public. We believe that that would be irresponsible. And I believe that people respect commitment, whether they agree with it or not. And I'm sure that they respect it a great deal more than the endless vacillations that our opponents seem to go into. I would defend that right of dissent with the same vigor as I defend my own opinions, because in the end... to divert that investment into irrelevant areas.
Hear, hear.
Well, there you have it. Richard Jaston, passionate conformist or mild dissenter, pay your money, you take your choice. And that's it for this edition of Election Countdown. It remains for me to thank our panel, to thank you, our studio audience, and to thank those of you at home who joined us and stayed with us. We'll be back tomorrow night. Until then, good night.
Do you know what Doug Campbell is?
Dougie!
Doug Campbell?
Yeah.
I was asked to bring these to you. Urgent.
Who's it from?
I've no idea. Bloke got into my cab last night. Just said bring him along to you personally.
Hang on a minute, then.